This is an original horror story based on an expanded 2-sentence horror concept, turning a simple, chilling idea into a full, slow-building nightmare. What starts as a single motion alert at 3:17 a.m. becomes something far more disturbing. A presence that doesn't just move in the dark, but knows when it's being watched. At exactly 3:17 in the morning, her phone lit up again. The sound was quiet, just a soft notification. But in a silent house, it felt sharp enough to cut through the dark. She didn't need to check it to know what it was. She had already memorized the message. Motion detected, hallway camera. For a few nights, she had ignored it. Old houses made noise. Shadows shifted. Cameras glitched. That's what she told herself anyway. It was easier than getting out of bed and walking into that long, narrow hallway in the middle of the night. But tonight, something felt different. She reached for her phone, hesitating just long enough to feel her heartbeat start to pick up. The house was completely still. No footsteps, no doors, no sign that anything had actually moved. Her thumb hovered over the notification. Then she opened it. The camera feed loaded slowly, buffering for just a second too long. When it finally appeared, the familiar view filled her screen. The hallway stretching from the living room toward her bedroom door, dimly lit by the faint glow of a nightlight near the baseboard. At first, nothing looked wrong. Then she saw it. At the far end of the hallway, where the light barely reached, something darker than the darkness itself seemed to shift. It wasn't a person. It wasn't even a shape she could fully understand. It was more like a patch of shadow that didn't belong. Thick, uneven, and wrong, like it had been cut out of the night and placed there. It stretched slightly along the wall and floor, as if it couldn't decide where it was supposed to exist. And it was moving, slowly, not in a smooth, natural way, but in subtle, creeping increments, like it would slide forward just enough to notice, then stop again, then inch closer. Her breath caught. She stared at the screen, trying to make sense of it, trying to force it into something logical. A trick of the light, a passing car outside, anything. But as she watched, it moved again. Closer. Just a few inches, but enough to make her stomach drop. The shadow was heading straight down the hallway, toward her door. She didn't even realize she had stopped breathing until her chest started to ache. Her grip tightened around her phone as she leaned forward slightly, eyes locked onto the screen. And then it stopped. Completely. No shifting, no flickering. Just frozen in place. She blinked, confused, her mind scrambling to catch up. It had been moving. She was sure of it. Slowly, carefully, she lowered the phone just a fraction, breaking her direct focus on the screen. The moment she did, the shadow moved again. Her eyes snapped back up. It stopped, perfectly still. A cold feeling spread through her chest, sharp and immediate. This wasn't random. It wasn't subtle anymore. It was reacting. She swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. Her thumb hovered over the screen, as if she could somehow control what she was seeing just by touching it. This time, she tested it. She forced herself to look away, just for a second. Her gaze shifted off the screen, landing on the dark outline of her bedroom wall. The silence pressed in around her, heavier now, like the whole house was waiting. Then she looked back. It had moved, closer than before. Not by much, but enough that there was no denying it now. The distance between it and her bedroom door was shrinking. Her pulse started to pound in her ears. Again she looked away. Again she looked back. Each time it crept forward. Each time it stopped the instant she focused on it. A slow, horrifying realization began to take shape in her mind. It wasn't just moving. It was waiting for her to stop watching. Her hand trembled slightly as she brought the phone closer to her face, as if getting a better look would somehow make this make sense. The hallway on the screen felt longer now, darker, like it had stretched into something deeper than her actual house. The shadow sat there, frozen again, halfway down the hall, closer than it had any right to be. She didn't dare look away this time, didn't dare blink, because somewhere deep down, Past the fear and the confusion, a single thought had taken hold. If she looked away for too long, it might reach her door. By morning, the house looked completely normal. Sunlight pushed through the blinds, filling the hallway with a soft, warm glow that erased every shadow from the night before. The walls were the same pale color. The floorboards didn't creak. Nothing felt out of place. And yet, she hesitated before stepping into it. She stood just outside her bedroom door, staring down the hall where she had watched that thing move, where it had inched closer, stopping only when she looked. It made no sense in daylight. Still, she stepped out. Each footfall felt louder than it should have. Her body tense as she walked to the exact spot where the shadow had paused the longest, the place where it had seemed to hesitate, as if deciding whether to come any closer. She stopped there. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a sudden chill slid across the back of her neck, and it wasn't the normal coolness of a house in the morning. It was sharper, focused, like stepping into a pocket of cold air that didn't belong. Her breath caught as her skin prickled. Slowly, she turned in place, scanning the hallway, her eyes tracing every corner, every doorway. The light was clear. There was nowhere for anything to hide. But the feeling didn't leave. It lingered just long enough to make her step back. After that, she didn't spend much time out there alone. The nights continued, each one beginning the same way. 3:17, the notification, the hallway, the shadow. It never rushed, never made a sound. It just kept doing the same thing, waiting until she looked away, then moving a little closer. She stopped trying to understand it, stopped trying to explain it. Instead, she started avoiding it. Some nights, she turned her phone face down and forced herself not to check. Other nights, she opened the notification just long enough to confirm it was still there, then locked her screen before it could move again. But even when she didn't look, she knew. She could feel it. That same quiet pressure in the air. That same awareness sitting just outside her room. And when her child wasn't home, the silence felt heavier. Half the week, the house had noise. Small footsteps, cartoons playing softly. The kind of everyday sounds that made everything feel grounded, safe. But the other half was just her, alone with it. She didn't tell anyone at first. There was no way to explain it without sounding like she was losing it. Even in her own head, it didn't make sense. A shadow that moved when she wasn't looking. It stopped when she did. It sounded impossible. But after several nights of watching it get closer, after feeling that cold spot in the hallway, the doubt started to shift into something worse. She needed someone else to see it. That afternoon, she called her friend over. She didn't explain everything right away, just said she needed a second opinion on something strange with her security camera, something off with the footage. They sat together on the couch, her phone between them. Her hands felt cold as she opened the app. "Just watch," she said quietly. The recording loaded. The same hallway appeared on screen, dimly lit, empty. Her heart started to pound. "There," she whispered, leaning forward slightly. "At the end, just watch." They both stared. Seconds passed. Nothing moved. Her stomach tightened. "It should be right there," she said, her voice thinner now. "It starts moving after a second, just..." "I don't see anything," her friend said. The words hit harder than she expected. She blinked, staring at the screen, waiting for it to happen, for the shadow to shift, to prove she wasn't imagining it. But the hallway remained still, completely empty. "No, wait, just give it a second," she insisted, tapping the screen, as if she could force it to play differently. More seconds passed. Still nothing. Her friend glanced at her, brows slightly furrowed. "Are you sure this is the right clip?" "It is," she said quickly. Too quickly. "I saw it last night. It was right there, moving down the hall." Her friend looked back at the screen, then shook her head slowly. "It just looks normal." After she left, the house felt different, quieter than before. Not just empty, but wrong. She stood alone in the living room, staring down the hallway again. The same one from the footage that now showed nothing. Her phone felt heavier in her hand, because she knew what she saw. She knew how it moved. And now, there was only one explanation left that made any sense at all. Whatever it wasn't something the camera was meant to show. Or worse, it was only showing itself to her. That night, she told herself she wouldn't look, no matter what happened. No matter how many times the notification came through, she would ignore it, roll over, and let morning come. She needed sleep. She needed something to feel normal again. For a while, it worked. The house settled into its usual silence, the kind that almost felt peaceful if you didn't think about it too much. She lay still under the blankets, eyes closed, listening to the faint hum of electricity in the walls, the distant sound of a car passing somewhere far outside. Time stretched, her breathing slowed, and then her phone lit up. Even with her eyes closed, she saw it. The faint glow through her eyelids, followed by that quiet, unmistakable sound. The notification. Her chest tightened instantly. She didn't move, didn't reach for it. Just lay there, staring into the darkness behind her eyes, trying to will it away. It buzzed again, a second alert. Her fingers twitched against the blanket. She could ignore it. She should ignore it. But the thought crept in anyway, slow and sharp. What if it's closer now? Her eyes opened. The room was completely still. Nothing had changed, except for the soft light of her phone, resting on the nightstand beside her. 3:17, right on time. Her hand moved before she could stop it. She picked it up. The screen felt colder than it should have. For a second, she just stared at the notification, her thumb hovering over it, her reflection faintly visible in the glass. Then she tapped it. The camera feed loaded instantly. The hallway appeared, dim, empty, exactly as it always started. Her heart pounded as she leaned up slightly, pulling the blanket tighter around her shoulders. She knew what was coming. She just didn't know how close it would be. At the far end of the hallway, the darkness shifted. There it was. No hesitation this time. No questioning what she was seeing. The shadow was already there, and it was closer than it had ever been before. Not at the end of the hall, not even halfway. It had nearly reached her door. A cold wave rushed through her body, sharp enough to make her gasp. She stared at the screen, frozen, watching it, waiting for it to stop. It didn't. It moved again. Not slowly like before, not inching forward. This time it slid closer in one smooth, deliberate motion. And then it stopped. Right in front of the camera. Right outside her door. Her grip tightened around the phone, her breathing shallow and uneven. It had never gotten this far. Not while she was watching. Not like this. For a moment it stayed still. The shape seemed thicker now. Darker. Like it had gathered itself into something more solid, more real. And then it shifted. Not forward, not backward. Up. The shadow stretched vertically, rising along the wall, distorting as it moved, as if trying to take on a form it couldn't quite hold. Her stomach dropped. It was looking. Not at the hallway. Not at the door. At the camera. At her. A sudden overwhelming fear slammed into her chest, stealing the air from her lungs. Without thinking, she turned the phone face down. The screen went black. Her room fell into silence. She pulled the blanket over her head, pressing it tightly around her, as if that thin layer of fabric could block out whatever was waiting just outside. Her eyes squeezed shut. Don't look, don't move, don't make a sound. Seconds dragged. Or maybe minutes. She couldn't tell anymore. All she could hear was her own breathing. Too loud, too fast, echoing inside the small space she had made for herself. And then a sound. Soft, close. A knock. Right on her bedroom door.